Hello everyone and welcome to my kitchen. If you don't know me, my name is Elizabeth and I'm the children's librarian at the Carroll County Public Library, and we are taking a break from Robin's kitchen today to be in my kitchen. So we are going to be making baklava today. Baklava is a Greek pastry and there are a ton of different variations. A lot of countries have a similar dessert. I know Turkey has one that's similar, and then a lot of European and Middle Eastern countries also have a dessert, probably by a different name and maybe a slightly different ingredients, but it's basically all the same concept. So I'm really excited to show you guys how to make it. I've been making it probably since I was in middle school is when my grandma taught me how to make it, and I'm just gonna walk you guys through it. So I'm not going to be giving specific measurements because I don't have specific measurements. There's no recipe. My grandma literally just taught me how to do it, how things should look, how things should taste. So the first thing that you're gonna need to do is kind of prep your space, wash your hands, wash your counter, make sure you have adequate room to work. You're also going to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. We've got that preheating, and I have already chopped up our walnuts. So I have this huge, it's like 2 pounds of walnuts, Great Value brand. No specific brand that you need. You can also use whatever type of nut you want, like almonds, pistachios. I've seen people do it with pecans. I think walnuts are more traditional in the Greek culture, but use whatever you want. I have walnuts. I have chopped most of this bag. I'm gonna set that to the side because we might need more, we might not. I would say it's about 1.5 pounds of walnuts, and I just used my chopper here. I have chopped up these walnuts pretty finely. You can leave bigger pieces if you want. This is just how I usually do it. The chopper works great. A food processor would work even better. I've used a blender before, and if all else fails, put it in a Ziploc bag and smack them with a rolling pin or a hammer or whatever you have. You don't have to have a fancy piece of equipment to do this. You will need butter. We're gonna start out with 2 sticks of unsalted sweet cream butter, just the Great Value brand, it does not matter. A big thing is you want unsalted though. So we're about to melt that in the microwave. You will need sugar. I just have cane sugar here. You can use regular granulated. I'm sure you could use sugar in the raw. You will need quite a bit of it, so just keep that in mind. And then what I have here under this towel is phyllo dough. This comes in sheets, very thin, papery sheets, and you'll see that when we start building. A lot of people confuse this with puff pastry. This is a little different than puff pastry. This doesn't puff up as much as puff pastry does. And puff pastry is usually like multiple sheets together. That's why it kind of puffs up. This you want 1 sheet at a time. So it is called phyllo dough. You can get it sometimes at Walmart or Kroger in our town. Sometimes I have to travel outside of our town to find it, but I will try to insert a picture of what the box looks like just in case you're curious. So yeah, we're gonna get started. We're going to melt our 2 sticks of butter, and I always start out with 2 sticks. Sometimes I need to melt more. While that is melting in the microwave, we're going to make our mixture, our walnut mixture. So I have my walnuts here, very finely chopped. I'm not measuring this. I'm gonna try to measure this for you guys. We're gonna start with 1/2 cup of sugar. Actually, we're gonna start with 1 cup of sugar. we're gonna mix that in. We're also going to add some cinnamon. I don't have a measurement for this as well. You just shake some in and I'll show you guys what it's supposed to look like. Got our 2 sticks of melted butter. I have mixed up the walnut mixture and we're gonna give it just a little taste. I can kind of tell that it might need some more. It needs some more. It needs to look very sugary. It needs to look cinnamony, golden brown. It needs to taste very sweet, very cinnamony. You know what, we're gonna do another one. So far we've added 2 cups of sugar. We're gonna do another little shake of cinnamon. And we're gonna stir this all together. Let's do a little taste. The smell is so good. I think that's perfect. You want it to be very sweet. You want to taste the walnut, but you also want to taste the sugar and the cinnamon. So hopefully you can see this, but it looks like this. Very sandy, golden. It smells amazing. So I always just put my measuring cup in here because I kind of use it while we're working. First thing you're gonna do is, I love having a little pastry type brush like this. I guess that's what it's called. You're gonna just take your dish. I use a 9x13 Pyrex and it's perfect. You're probably gonna make a mess and it's okay. You just start basting with a thin layer of your melted butter. I like to do the bottom and also the sides. This is going to be a very buttery dish. I'm not claiming that this is healthy. It's not healthy. I usually only make this for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter. Kind of like our big family gatherings that we do. I make it for that. So we don't really care that it's not healthy because we're only eating it 3 times a year. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but you want to lay your phyllo out and you want to cover it with a towel. If it's exposed to the air for too long, it will kind of crumble and get hard to work with. So I always lay a towel over it. You're going to be able to see how thin it is, and it's already cracking, but that's okay. You're going to lay it down like that. And on the bottom, I like to do two sheets on the very bottom. Ooh. As you can see, it is being a little difficult already, but that's okay. Just do as best as you can. And you're just gonna lay it over. Now the edges will start to crumble as you're doing this. I try to do this kind of fast, but it'll be okay because butter fixes everything. So I just lay it in here like this. It'll drape over the sides some, and that is absolutely perfect. That's what you want. Cover us back up here. Okay. Now there's cracks in here because this stuff is very thin and it likes to break. So butter is going to be your Band-Aid. You just put butter all over like we did in the beginning. You do the bottom you do the sides. You just want to cover it in butter. That's why it kind of depends on the ingredients, because to make this, you go until you either run out of space in your pan, you run out of walnut mixture, or you run out of your phyllo dough. So sometimes you have a lot of layers and sometimes you have not a lot of layers. Okay, we're all buttered up. We're gonna take our scoop here with our walnut mixture and we're just going to layer some here in the bottom. You wanna get all the nooks and crannies. This smells amazing. And then you repeat. So the very bottom layer has two, need a little bit more butter here, has 2 layers of phyllo dough. In between, I like to do just 1. So you're gonna grab your layer of phyllo, lay that on top. Your butter. And if you get a piece of phyllo that like completely breaks in half or is just like really bad breakage, use it anyway. Just put butter on it because the butter kind of melts it together again. Butter fixes all. Okay, got our phyllo, got our butter, got our walnuts. I'm gonna do another layer. And then more phyllo. Easy as that. People think that this is such a complicated dish. It's not. It just takes practice and it takes patience when working with this phyllo dough. Down to our last few layers here. So I'm just continuing to layer our phyllo, our butter, and our walnut mixture. So we are, it's getting to the top of the pan anyway, but we're almost out of the walnut mixture and the phyllo. You do want to reserve 2 sheets of your phyllo dough because that's what's gonna go on top. So when I was getting to the end, I kind of looked and I was like, oh, okay, need to start wrapping up. All right, and it looks like we actually have 3 layers left, but that's okay. I'm just gonna take all 3 layers. Sometimes I do 2, sometimes I do 3, sometimes I do 4. It just depends on how it works out. So I'm gonna lay this on top, just like we've been doing. I'm gonna press it down in the corners real good. And if you notice, let me get this out of the way. If you notice, we still have a ton extra hanging off. We're just gonna kind of fold that like so. You can see, I can feel the very bottom layer of the phyllo is crumbly because it's been exposed the longest. So we're gonna kind of make an envelope here. You just wanna fold it in. It's not looking the best, but we're gonna heal it with our butter. And it's gonna look good once it's baked and we cut it. Okay, we got all of our edges folded. We have some crumblies, but that's okay. And we're going to take our remaining butter and we're just going to drizzle it. We may actually need to melt a little bit more, but we'll see. We're gonna drizzle it all over the top here. We might be okay. Let's see. Trying to get the rest out of here. So we've got that done. You're gonna grab a knife. Okay, I've got my knife. We're gonna score this. You don't go all the way through to the bottom. You kind of poke the first few layers. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go diagonal in one direction. So you just wanna kind of poke through the top here. And make a diagonal cut from corner to corner. Now, if you can see, this is what we're working with. You can see the diagonal cuts. We're going to put this in the oven at 350, and I always start out just setting a 30-minute timer. I kind of check it halfway, like between like 15-20 minute mark. Sometimes it bakes for less than 30, sometimes it bakes for more than 30. It just depends. So I'm going to show you what to look for, what it looks like when it's done. Okay, we should only have a few more minutes left on our baklava. I just checked it. It has been about 45-ish minutes. It's taking a little longer this time. Sometimes it just takes longer. Sometimes it's done pretty quick. So that's why you just have to kind of keep an eye on it. So we're gonna make a syrup to go over our baklava. The first thing that we're gonna add to our pan is a cup of sugar. Then we're gonna get a cup of water. A cup of water going in. I'm gonna turn this up a little bit. And then you're gonna get a cup of honey. This is from Costco. It's just the organic honey. You can use organic, you can use just regular Kroger brand, Walmart brand. You can use farm fresh honey. It doesn't matter. So a cup of that is going in. Then we're gonna do a few little sprinkles of cinnamon. Actually, we're gonna do quite a bit of cinnamon. You can also put some cinnamon sticks in there as well while it's boiling. I always just use ground cinnamon because that's what I have on hand. We're gonna stir this. We're gonna let it come up to a boil. And then when it's boiling, I usually just buy an orange from the grocery store. We had these cuties left over, and they will work as well. I'm just going to cut some of the rind off, and you want a little bit of the pulp of the fruit on there as well, and you'll put it in while your syrup is boiling, and it'll give it a really nice flavor. And then you take it out. So I'll show that when it is time, and we're just waiting on our baklava to be done and our syrup to start boiling. Look at this. Our baklava is all done. You want it to be kind of a golden on top. It does look underneath, I know you guys can't see, but underneath it does look very golden brown too. So that's how you tell that it's done. You can see how we scored it. Finish cutting it the rest of the way where we scored it. This is going to be some good ASMR for you guys. Hear that crunch. All right, so that's cut. We are going to cut it the other way diagonally, and that's what makes the beautiful pattern in baklava. But I always wait until our syrup is done. So we'll pour that over, and then we'll cut it again, and we'll be all done. All right, our syrup is boiling. We are going to just rough cut here our cuties. So I am just cutting the rind off, and I'm leaving some fruit on it. And since I usually do a whole big like regular sized orange, I'm gonna do all 3 of these cuties here. I'm gonna put those in. So you want to let these kind of simmer in there, and you want the syrup to absorb the flavor. And at this point, you're kind of just stirring, waiting for this to kind of thicken up a bit. And when it's ready, we'll pour it over our baklava. Okay, we have been simmering now for about 10-ish minutes. One thing that my grandma taught me was if you can drop a little drop on your thumbnail and it not run off, it kind of just stays, that means it's ready. I guess that means it's thick enough. So let's try that. It's staying, so you probably can't see, but I think it's ready. We're going to turn off our heat and remove our orange slices. Okay, we're going to pour our syrup on. I usually don't use this whole thing. I just kind of eyeball it. But you want to pour it over the whole thing. Make sure it's getting in where we cut. If you see any dry spots, try to get some on the dry spots. I think that looks good. There's gonna be you're gonna be able to see a little bit of liquid in the bottom, but it's gonna soak it all up. And when you eat this, it's not going to be wet because it's going to kind of dry. It is going to be a little sticky, but it is going to kind of, I don't know, harden, I guess is the word. Okay, so we cut it this way, going this direction diagonally. So that means we're going to go in and cut it the opposite way diagonally. And by cutting it again, the syrup is going to get in there even more, and it's going to be delicious. And if your layers are trying to fall off, just smush them back down. This is a very rustic dessert. It's not really gonna look super pretty, but it's gonna taste amazing. And there you have it, completed baklava.